Imagine back in February of 1961, three amateur rockhounds, their hearts filled with the thrill of discovery, were scouring the rugged terrain near Olancha, California, in search of geodes. One particular find, strangely shaped and intriguing, caught their eye. Little did they know, this seemingly ordinary rock held a secret that would spark decades of debate. Back in their home laboratory, they carefully sliced through the stony matrix. Instead of the expected crystal formations, they unearthed something truly bizarre. A cylindrical object, almost like it was made of porcelain. A metallic rod ran through its center, encircled by a hexagonal sheath constructed from copper and some other substance they couldn't identify. Immediately, their minds raced. Could this be a relic of a lost, technologically advanced civilization from 500,000 years ago? Could this be tangible proof of a civilization like Atlantis, or even evidence that time travel was possible? Perhaps a traveler from the distant future had inadvertently left it behind. Or maybe, just maybe, it was a gift from intelligent extraterrestrial beings who had once visited Earth. If any of these wild theories held water, it would force scientists to rewrite the entire history of humankind. But the initial excitement wasn't universally shared. Across the landscape, truth seekers and alternative archaeology enthusiasts began a quest to unravel the mystery of the so-called Koso artifact. Theories flew, debates raged, but the truth remained elusive, at least until the late 1990s. Enter a group of skeptics, armed with images and X-rays of the enigmatic object. They presented their findings to a group of seasoned spark plug collectors. The verdict? The ancient artifact was nothing more than a common spark plug from the 1920s, its metal components heavily corroded by time. The dreams of a lost civilization faded. Almost 2 decades later, one of the original co-discoverers, perhaps weary of the controversy, agreed to allow the University of Washington to examine the artifact. Their official conclusion was conclusive. It was a champion spark plug, manufactured in the 1920s. Furthermore, the stone matrix encasing the artifact wasn't a geode at all, but a concretion, a formation that can develop through natural processes over years or decades, not the millennia required for true geological wonders. The Koso artifact stands as a prime example of an out-of-place artifact, a concept familiar to those involved in pseudo-archaeology. These are objects discovered in locations or time periods where they seemingly shouldn't exist, appearing far too advanced for their supposed era. Such finds often ignite speculation about forgotten human activities predating conventional historical timelines. Consider the Baghdad Battery, another notorious example. Discovered in the 1930s by a German archaeologist, this artifact consists of a simple clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. The jar's top, now broken, was likely sealed with asphalt. The archaeologist noticed the presence of dissimilar metals and the potential for an electrolyte, key ingredients for a battery. While no ancient texts support the battery theory, scientists conducted experiments, filling the jar with an ionic solution like vinegar or wine. Remarkably, it generated a small electrical current. If this was indeed a 2,000-year-old battery, it might have been used in ancient medical practices, or even to animate statues, creating a buzzing effect to awe onlookers. Koenig, the man who founded, believed it was used for electroplating, a method of coating metals. Even if it functioned as a battery, the Baghdad artifact could only produce a meager amount of energy, perhaps around 1 volt. Skeptics propose a more mundane explanation, that it served as a storage container for sacred scrolls. Then, there's the London hammer. Back in the 1930s, a couple stumbled upon a peculiar sight while strolling along Red Creek in London, Texas. A piece of wood protruded from what appeared to be an ancient rock formation. About 10 years later, their son, driven by curiosity, decided to crack open the rock. Inside, he found a surprisingly modern-looking hammer. This discovery captured the attention of Carl Baugh, a young Earth creationist, who declared that the rock encasing the hammer dated back to the Cretaceous period, a time when dinosaurs still roamed the Earth. He proclaimed it as evidence against evolutionary theory. However, scientific investigation revealed a more straightforward explanation. Geological processes had simply encased a modern hammer over time. It was not, as some had hoped, evidence of humans coexisting with dinosaurs, a real-life Flintstone scenario. Instead, it was a case of a miner dropping his hammer centuries ago, with nature slowly claiming it for the Earth. Moving continents away, a Chinese archaeologist allegedly stumbled upon a series of caves that appeared to be a burial ground for small humanoid beings with disproportionately large oval heads. Alongside these skeletal remains, they found rock art depicting figures with round helmets, celestial bodies like the sun, moon, and stars, all interconnected by lines of small dots. The mystery deepened with the discovery of over 700 stone discs, each etched with spiral grooves. The plot thickened when these discs were sent to a Chinese professor who claimed the grooves were actually a form of ancient writing. According to his translation, the discs told the story of the Dropa, visitors from another planet who had crash-landed their spaceship on Earth approximately 12,000 years ago. Let's journey back to 2008. What sounds like the stuff of legend actually happened. Archaeologists unearthed the remnants of a lost pyramid. Over 4 millennia, the relentless march of time had taken its toll, leaving only the base visible. But make no mistake, this was a site of immense importance in the ancient world. Imagine elaborate ceremonies unfolding near this pyramid. High priests, figures of immense power and reverence, would solemnly carry the mummified remains of sacred Apis bulls. These weren't just any bulls, mind you. Ancient Egyptians believed that the Apis bulls were earthly manifestations of the deity of Memphis, deeply connected to the very essence of fertility. To be chosen as the Apis, a bull had to be entirely black, marked only by a single pristine white diamond between its horns, alongside a host of other very specific traits. Selected by the local priests, these magnificent animals were venerated throughout their lives. Upon their natural death, they were mummified with the utmost care and laid to rest in vast underground galleries. Now, fast forward to the 1800s. The Headless Pyramid, as it was initially dubbed by a German archaeologist who stumbled upon it in the village of Saqqara, vanished once more, swallowed by the ever-shifting desert sands. While sporadic excavations occurred throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, they lacked a systematic approach. That's precisely why the recent discovery of the pyramid's complete base, after painstakingly removing a 25-foot-high dune of sand, ignited such excitement among scientists. But the discoveries don't end there. American archaeologists are currently excavating a sprawling cemetery in Egypt, a necropolis potentially containing over 1 million mummified bodies. Thus far, they've unearthed approximately 1,700 mummies. What sets these mummies apart is their social status. Unlike the pharaohs and nobles entombed in the Valley of the Kings, these were commoners, individuals who likely lived around 500 years ago, during the Roman and Byzantine Empire's rule over Egypt. Intriguingly, this cemetery bears the name the Way of the Water Buffalo, a destination perhaps worth adding to your travel itinerary. Beyond bulls and buffaloes, the ancient Egyptians also held baboons in high regard. In the early 20th century, archaeologists discovered a site overflowing with mummified baboons in a location aptly named the Valley of the Monkeys. Mummification was a privilege reserved for creatures of significance, those closely associated with specific deities. Jackals, for example, were linked to Anubis, the ancient god of the afterlife, while cats were associated with Bastet, the feline goddess. Baboons, however, held a particularly important position, believed to be connected to Thoth, the god of wisdom and advisor to Ra, one of Egypt's supreme deities. However, the archaeologists studying these mummified baboons uncovered a darker side to their veneration. Evidence suggests these animals were kept confined, deprived of sunlight for much of their lives. They suffered from severe vitamin D deficiencies and were poorly nourished. Perhaps Thoth himself was displeased with the treatment of his sacred animals. And the discoveries continue. Archaeologists have also unearthed human mummies adorned with golden tongues. Reflecting the ancient Egyptians' profound belief in the afterlife, these golden tongues were likely intended to enable the deceased to speak in the realm beyond. A long shot, perhaps, but in a culture steeped in ritual and symbolism, every detail mattered. Some of these mummies were found within wooden coffins, accompanied by grave goods such as necklaces, pottery, and golden artifacts shaped like lotus flowers and scarab beetles. No iPhones, though. Not yet. Anyway, a newly discovered temple has also come to light in Egypt, believed to have been dedicated to Zeus Cassios, a syncretic deity blending Zeus, the supreme Greek god of the sky, with Mount Cassios, a prominent peak in the region. While excavating in the Sinai Peninsula, archaeologists noticed two pink granite columns emerging from the earth. These columns, they believe, once formed the temple's grand entrance, collapsing during an ancient earthquake. And speaking of deities, not all were figures of austere power and solemnity. Recently, a golden ring was unearthed in a city south of Cairo. No, this isn't a tale of Middle-earth. This was a simple gold ring, but it bore the image of Bes, the deity of joy and merriment. Often depicted in sacred texts as a cheerful, chubby dwarf, Bes was a symbol of good fortune and protection. While modern tattoos are often purely aesthetic, in ancient Egypt, women would receive tattoos as protective symbols during childbirth, or so scientists believe. Around the Nile region, remarkably well-preserved tattoos have been found on mummies, a rare occurrence given the fragility of skin over millennia. Two of these women had tattoos on their lower backs, simple yet powerful images, including depictions of that same chubby deity, Bes. Let's journey back to ancient Egypt, a land of pharaohs, gods, and secrets buried beneath the sands. Imagine a world where deities walked among mortals, and even the smallest of beings, like the dwarf god Bes, held immense power. Bes, as we learned, wasn't just a deity of amusement. He was also a protector of women during childbirth, a sacred duty in this ancient civilization. Now, what if I told you that the ancient Egyptians invented robots? It sounds far-fetched, doesn't it? While they weren't exactly building androids, their ingenuity led to something quite remarkable. Picture this: a wooden statue residing for years within the hallowed halls of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. This wasn't just any artifact. It was an automated deity known as Hathor. Scientists, using the power of X-ray technology, discovered a complex mechanical system hidden within the statue. A pulley-like axis ran from Hathor's shoulder to her left leg. As the system rotated, the statue's hand would rise and lower, almost as if beckoning. Imagine the astonishment of those who first uncovered this hidden marvel, a testament to the Egyptians' advanced understanding of engineering and mechanics. Now, let's delve deeper into the sands of Saqqara, where secrets of royal doctors lie buried. Picture the scene: a tomb, undisturbed for over 4,000 years, belonging to a physician who held the very lives of pharaohs in his hands. This man, privy to knowledge shared only between deities and kings, was a figure of immense importance. But upon opening his tomb in 2024, a mystery unfolded. No body was found. Instead, vibrant paintings, untouched by time, adorned the walls, alongside cryptic symbols carved into the stone. Who was this man? And why was he entombed with spells linked to a scorpion deity? His name was Teti Nebefu, and he lived during a pivotal moment in Egyptian history, around 4,100 years ago. Imagine the final days of Egypt's Old Kingdom, a time when freshly built pyramids still gleamed under the sun, yet shadows of decline were already looming large. Pharaoh Pepi II had reigned for an unprecedented 90 years, but his long rule was coming to an end. The country was fracturing, power was waning, regional leaders were gaining prominence, and the Nile's floods were becoming increasingly unpredictable. Amidst this turmoil, Teti Nebefu thrived. His tomb, unearthed by a Swiss-French archaeological team near ancient pyramids, held an enigma. The burial chamber was empty, devoid of a body or golden treasures, likely plundered by grave robbers long ago. However, what remained was far more captivating: the words and images etched onto the walls. These paintings, with their vibrant colors miraculously preserved, depict jars, containers, strange abstract patterns, and geometric shapes. Hieroglyphs, lines of sacred script, carved with meticulous precision, reveal the true identity of Teti Nebefu. He was not just a doctor. He was the conjurer of Serket. Serket, the scorpion deity, was both revered and feared. Egyptians believed she could neutralize venom, heal bites, and safeguard the living from toxic threats. As the conjurer of Circuit, Teti Nebefu specialized in treating dangerous stings and bites, perhaps the foremost expert in all of Egypt, a healer who combined medicine with magic. But his titles didn't end there. He was also the director of medicinal plants, a title almost unheard of in ancient Egypt, appearing only once before in historical records. This meant he possessed unparalleled knowledge of the healing properties of herbs, roots, and oils. You might wonder what plants could flourish in a land of seemingly endless sand. Yet, ancient Egyptians possessed a sophisticated understanding of herbal medicine, creating pills, ointments, and inhalers with ingredients that hold up to scientific scrutiny even today. They combined active ingredients with flavors to make them palatable and delivery methods to ensure their effectiveness. Of course, some ingredients were quite peculiar by modern standards, such as crocodile dung and acacia mixed with honey. They even had formulas for anti-wrinkle creams. And incredibly, our mysterious healer was also the chief dentist, a title rarely seen in ancient records. It seems Teti Nebefu was entrusted with the care of teeth and jaws, a significant concern in ancient Egypt. Despite their architectural marvels, ancient Egyptians suffered from severe dental problems. Constant exposure to sand, grit-filled bread, and raw vegetables wore down their enamel, causing a condition known as attrition. This led to tooth loss and other complications. They improvised solutions, such as creating the world's oldest known toothpaste from crushed rock, mint, and pepper, which ironically may have worsened gum health. Other toothpaste recipes included ingredients like eggshells and pumice. Imagine for a moment the world of ancient Egypt, thousands of years removed from our own. Within this world, a man named Tetifu lived and practiced an art that was both revered and mysterious. He wasn't just any healer. He was a specialist in dentistry, crafting remedies with materials like acacia, myrrh, and even natron, a type of salty mineral used for cleaning. He was also an early innovator in oral hygiene, prescribing mouthwashes made from celery, bran, and various herbs, all to combat the persistent problem of dental ailments. Remarkably, archaeologists have even uncovered mummies adorned with crude metal braces and delicate gold wires, seemingly used to secure missing teeth. Whether these were functional during life or intended as symbolic offerings for the afterlife remains a subject of debate. Tetifu, it seems, was a master of these diverse fields. A rare trifecta of expertise for a single individual. In an age devoid of modern scientific understanding, a man like Tetifu would have been regarded with awe, almost as a sorcerer who possessed the secret knowledge of how a specific leaf or bark could hold the power to save a life. This is why many believe Tetifu was more than just a common doctor. He was likely the royal physician, entrusted with the health and well-being of the pharaoh himself. Perhaps he served under the reign of Pepe II. Maybe his skills were the reason why Pepe II lived so long. If this was the case, imagine Teti Nebefu living through the twilight years of the Old Kingdom, witnessing its golden age slowly crumble from within the very walls of the palace. Then came his own burial. While his body was either lost to the ravages of time or plundered by looters, the ongoing study of his tomb continues to reveal fragments of the life of this remarkable individual. It's astonishing to consider the level of medical sophistication achieved by the ancient Egyptians. Some of their practices resonate even today. They had hospitals, specialized doctors, surgical procedures, and even established medical schools. Both men and women were permitted to practice medicine. They employed a variety of healing methods and performed surgeries using specialized tools. Scalpels, forceps, and sutures. Some physicians focused solely on treating ailments of the eyes, while others specialized in teeth, stomach disorders, or even what they referred to as hidden diseases. They possessed the knowledge to clean and bandage wounds, skillfully set broken bones using splints crafted from wood or reeds wrapped in linen, and even took measures to prevent infections. There were even specialists in proctology. Furthermore, they pioneered the creation of prosthetics, such as wooden toes fitted with leather straps, designed to restore a person's ability to walk with a semblance of normalcy. The oldest known prosthetic dates back an incredible 3,000 years. But perhaps the most astonishing discovery is evidence suggesting that they even attempted to remove tumors. A recent analysis of a 4,000-year-old skull belonging to a man in his 30s revealed signs of past tumors. Around 3 of these tumors, distinct marks were observed, surgical cuts made with a metal instrument. This indicates an attempt to remove the tumors, study them, or perhaps even perform an autopsy. Another skull, this one belonging to a woman over the age of 50, also displayed similar evidence, along with healed fractures from a previous injury. This suggests that her treatment may have been successful. In ancient Egyptian society, being a healer held profound significance. It meant embodying the roles of priest, scientist, and magician all at once. Medicine was regarded as a sacred art, treated with the same reverence as their gods. They believed that illness could be both a physical and spiritual affliction. Thus, a doctor might recite incantations while applying a healing salve. And remarkably, many of their treatments proved effective. The reputation of Egyptian doctors was so widespread that leaders from other ancient lands, such as Persia, actively sought their expertise. Even Homer, the renowned Greek poet, declared that the Egyptians were the most skilled healers of all. While their understanding of human anatomy wasn't flawless, for instance, they believed the heart controlled thought and emotion and remained largely ignorant of the brain's true function. Their approach of observing symptoms, diagnosing, and treating laid the groundwork for modern medicine. They might have offered prayers over a wound, but they also skillfully treated it. Their most celebrated physician was Imhotep. This extraordinary individual was a true polymath, an architect, priest, and healer who was eventually deified as the god of medicine. Imhotep lived 2 millennia before Hippocrates, the so-called father of medicine. Today, some playfully suggest that we should abandon the Hippocratic Oath and instead pledge an Imhotepic oath. These ancient people weren't just erecting pyramids, they were building the very foundations of healthcare. Now, let's shift our focus to a more primal fear, one that lurks deep within the human psyche. The ocean. This fear is understandable. It's almost encoded in our DNA. Throughout history, our ancestors learned to avoid dangerous situations, such as encounters with large predators and venturing into deep waters, as crucial survival strategies. Furthermore, we've only explored a meager 5% of our planet's oceans, leaving countless mysteries hidden beneath the waves. Under normal circumstances, a GoPro is simply a camera. But imagine finding one resting at the bottom of a 400-foot pit in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. The sight alone would send shivers down your spine. 400 feet might not seem like an extreme depth, but for an average person, most recreational divers can plunge to depths of 60 to 100 feet. Professional divers, of course, can go deeper. But imagine for a moment you were able to descend into the abyss to retrieve that lost GoPro. Even if you could, such a feat would likely prove fatal. In the specific underwater sinkhole where the camera was recovered, a treacherous layer of hydrogen sulfide lurks around 300 feet. This gas is not only incredibly dangerous, but also emits a foul odor. The GoPro, tragically, rested 100 feet below this deadly layer, alongside the remains of its owners, 2 explorers lost to the deep. To this day, very few individuals have successfully navigated such depths and returned unharmed. In fact, the recovery of the deceased explorers was only possible with the aid of sophisticated submarines. Now, you might be wondering about the contents of that GoPro. In stories like this, we often anticipate finding evidence of foul play or some sinister hidden truth. However, the footage revealed only the explorers' happy moments from their ill-fated trip. A tragic end to what was meant to be a joyful vacation. Venture further into the deep, and you'll encounter species that seem to have emerged from another world, albeit in a strangely charming way. Take, for example, the alien sponge. This peculiar creature was first observed near the Mariana Trench in 2016 and is part of an ecosystem aptly named the Forest of the Weird. And what amplifies its strangeness? The alien sponge possesses 2 small holes that eerily resemble eyes, giving the impression that it's peering back at you. Another fascinating detail: The skeleton of this sponge is composed of glass. Now, for those with a fear of cockroaches, take a deep breath. On the ocean floor, you'll find over 20 different species of giant isopods. These beetle-like creatures can grow up to 14 inches in length. Fortunately, these giants typically scavenge for food on the ocean floor. Unless you decide to dive to 7,000 feet, an endeavor we've established is nearly impossible, you're unlikely to encounter them. Despite its ominous name, the bloody bellycomb jelly is a fascinating creature found in the ocean's twilight zone, a region extending from 820 to 4,900 feet below the surface. This is far deeper than where you'd normally wade. What makes this jelly so remarkable is its coloration. In the twilight zone, where light is scarce, many animals either emit a faint glow, like the anglerfish, or rely on camouflage. The bloody bellycomb jelly, however, is a striking blood red. This is because, in the ocean's inky blackness, other creatures cannot see it, digesting colorful, bioluminescent prey within its stomach. Furthermore, the jelly features rows of combs that produce a mesmerizing iridescent light. Beautiful and deadly. Humans, too, have inadvertently contributed to the weird and wonderful landscape of the ocean floor. Depending on where you swim, you might stumble upon remnants of rocket engines used during the Apollo program. When a rocket launches into space, certain parts are jettisoned into the ocean once they've exhausted their propellant, reducing the rocket's weight. A section of the Apollo 11 rocket engine, the very one that carried humans to the moon, was recovered from the ocean after more than 4 decades. You can now view it at the Museum of Flight in Seattle. Not a space enthusiast, there's something for fans of the Oregon Trail as well. 2 locomotives are residing off the coast of New Jersey. Dating back to the 1850s, they rest beneath 90 feet of water. They likely tumbled from a transport ship during a fierce storm, or were intentionally pushed overboard to prevent the ship from sinking. Most of these underwater marvels can only be witnessed through diving. But if you harbor a fear of the deep ocean, fear not. You can still discover bizarre finds simply by strolling along the beach. Consider the Garfield landline phones that washed ashore in Brittany, France. The French have been encountering these peculiar artifacts since the 1980s. Only recently, a French farmer, René Morvan, provided a simple explanation. A shipping container filled with Garfield merchandise had been lost at sea, ultimately finding its final resting place in a sea cave. One can only imagine that locals are still haunted by the creepy smile of those landline phones. Just as a storm revealed the Garfield secret stash, it also shifted several ships that sank over 600 years ago. But this is no ordinary shipwreck tale. It's more akin to something from Pirates of the Caribbean. As the storm disturbed these ancient vessels, authorities from Caesarea unearthed a treasure trove. 2,000 gold coins, along with silver and bronze coins, gemstones and rings. It was a hoard worthy of a dragon's envy. Don't get your hopes up, though. While many underwater archaeological sites in this region are accessible to divers, some of the most precious discoveries are carefully preserved within museum walls. And speaking of the mysteries hidden beneath the waves, let's consider the submerged pirate city of Port Royal, Jamaica. Picture this. In 1692, a cataclysmic earthquake struck, immediately followed by a devastating tsunami. A truly terrible combination. The city was swallowed by the sea, plunging its secrets into the depths. Yet, incredibly, you can still explore it today, albeit with scuba gear. Port Royal is not alone in its watery grave. There's also Thonis Heraclean in Egypt, now resting at the mouth of the Nile River. Then there's Baia, an ancient Roman town built precariously atop a supervolcano. One might assume Baia suffered the same fiery fate as Pompeii, but no. Instead, the ground beneath it gradually subsided, and the town slipped beneath the waves. Have you ever heard of underwater crop circles? Imagine this. Back in 1995, divers off the coast of Japan stumbled upon perfectly circular formations etched into the seabed. These circles, spanning 6 feet in diameter, resembled the enigmatic crop circles that fuel science fiction fantasies. For a time, scientists were baffled, unable to determine their origin. The culprit, it turned out, was a tiny male pufferfish, a mere 4 inches long. This diminutive artist meticulously sculpts the sand using its body and fins, creating intricate circles and swirls. He then adorns his creation with carefully selected seashells and coral fragments. This elaborate construction project takes the pufferfish about a week to complete. But why? It's all part of an elaborate mating ritual. If a female pufferfish is impressed by the artwork, she will deposit her eggs in the very center of the circle. The circular design of the underwater crop circle serves a vital purpose. It channels fresh water to the center, creating an ideal environment for the eggs to develop. And here's the kicker. After laying her eggs, the female departs, leaving the male to diligently guard and tend to the developing offspring. But if marine life isn't your thing, how about a cargo of rubber duckies, turtles, beavers, and frogs? Imagine 28,000 hours of these bath toys adrift at sea. These cheerful plastic companions were en route from China to the United States when, much like our friend Garfield, their voyage was disrupted by a fierce storm in 1992. From the vastness of the North Pacific, these buoyant travelers embarked on their own individual odysseys. Some of the rubber duckies and beavers eventually made their way to the shores of the United Kingdom by 2007. Others, more adventurous, journeyed to distant lands like Australia, Indonesia, Chile, Hawaii, and even Alaska. Have you ever encountered something strange washed up on a beach? Ever since Plato first penned the tale of Atlantis, humanity has been captivated by the possibility of discovering thriving civilizations beneath the waves. Care to join me on an expedition to several remarkable underwater historical sites? Let's delve into the mysteries of ancient civilizations and see what secrets we can unearth. Our first stop is a site dubbed the underwater Stonehenge. Recently, scientists uncovered a puzzling collection of cairns stretching for miles beneath the shimmering surface of Lake Constance, which borders Switzerland, Germany, and Austria. Archaeologists began investigating the site in 2015, and they are still working to decipher its original purpose. What they have determined is that there is a 12-mile-long line of 170 man-made stone cairns lying beneath the lake. Researchers believe that the construction of this site likely involved the coordinated efforts of multiple villages, suggesting a collective purpose. The formations are massive, some spanning dozens of feet in width. The most astounding revelation is that the site dates back approximately 5,500 years. Imagine what life was like for humans during that era. We were in the midst of the Stone Age, crafting tools from stone for hunting and sustenance. Can you picture what a knife and fork might have looked like in those days? It's no accident that scientists have likened this site to Stonehenge. Both are believed to have been constructed around the same time. Stonehenge, as we know, dates back to around 3100 BCE. Both sites share the common characteristic of stone monuments arranged in a circular pattern. Moreover, scientists remain puzzled as to why our early ancestors felt compelled to erect monuments like Stonehenge in the first place. The mystery of Lake Constance persists. Who were the Neolithic people who inhabited this region? And what drove them to dedicate such immense effort and resources to constructing this monumental stone site? Next, we're off to the Ryukyu Islands, just off the coast of Japan. Prepare for a deep dive to explore another intriguing archaeological site. Be warned, the waters of the Pacific Ocean can be treacherous. It won't be long before a colossal structure emerges into view. Imagine the ocean floor bathed in sunlight. At first glance, what lies below resembles the ancient ruins of Machu Picchu, transported from Peru to the bottom of the sea. As we approach, the shapes become clearer. A pyramid-like structure, archways, and staircases emerge from the gloom. Could this be evidence of a lost civilization, a forgotten palace or castle swallowed by the waves? This is the Yonaguni Monument, sometimes called Japan's Atlantis. A vast structure, it stretches across an area equivalent to 5 soccer fields and rises to the height of a 5-story building. Perhaps its most striking features are the sprawling terraces that appear to have been deliberately carved into the rock. Explorers and scientists estimate that the Yonaguni Monument could be 10,000 years old, a relic from a time before recorded history. However, its origins are shrouded in mystery. Was it crafted by human hands, Or is it simply a bizarre natural formation sculpted by the relentless power of the ocean? The debate rages on. Professor Masaki Kimura, a leading marine geologist in Japan, believes the monument is undeniably the work of a lost civilization. He has dedicated over a decade to exploring these underwater ruins, diving to the seabed more than 100 times. According to Kimura, the evidence of human intervention is clear. He points to a triangle-shaped concave on the monument's surface, a symbol historically used for water fountains in the region. There's also a massive turtle carving on the eastern face of the structure. Turtles, Kimura argues, held significant cultural importance for the people who built this place. Further adding to the mystery, numerous stone tools, estimated to be around 10,000 years old, have been recovered from the site. Yet, not all scientists agree with this interpretation. Many believe that the Yonaguni monument is simply the result of millennia of erosion, the slow but inexorable work of nature. The fact that the monument is formed from a single, colossal rock formation leads them to doubt human involvement. The sharp edges and flat surfaces, they argue, are reminiscent of natural formations like the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. There, basalt columns resemble the ruins of a long-lost city, but they are actually the product of ancient volcanic activity. Now, let's journey to the coast of Greece, a 4-hour flight from Athens to the Peloponnese Peninsula. We grab a snorkel and, on a clear, sunny day, dive into the turquoise waters. Descending just 13 feet below the surface, we begin to notice distinct patterns on the seabed. Gradually, the outlines of familiar objects begin to take shape, one by one. As we swim further, the unmistakable form of an entire city emerges before us, lost beneath the waves. How could an entire city be submerged? Here lies Pavlopetri, an ancient city that may be new to you. Discovered by British oceanographer Nicholas Fleming during a vacation in Greece, Pavlopetri had been whispered about in local legends. Fleming found artifacts scattered across the seafloor. Returning a year later with a team of experts, he uncovered a site brimming with pottery, storage vessels, and tools. A kernstone, used for grinding grains into flour, was among the finds. Numerous amphorae, ancient storage jars, suggest that this settlement dates back to the Bronze Age, around 5,500 years ago, when humans began to live in organized towns. It's believed that Pavlopetri thrived for over 2,400 years. Today, it is considered the oldest submerged city ever discovered. What's truly remarkable is that this wasn't a mere village. It was a bustling port city, complete with stone buildings, a marketplace, streets, and even public squares. Our next destination is one of the most famous underwater cities, now preserved as an archaeological park, Port Royal, Jamaica. Today, it exists only beneath the waves, but in 1692, it was one of the wealthiest cities in the Western Hemisphere. As the center of the British Empire in the Caribbean, Port Royal was a vital trading hub, drawing people from all corners of the region. It was also notorious as a haven for real-life pirates of the Caribbean. But on the morning of June 7th, 1692, the residents of Port Royal were met with a terrifying fate. The earth began to shake violently. A massive earthquake, registering 7.5 on the Richter scale, rocked the city, throwing people from their beds. One survivor recounted seeing the earth open up and swallow the entire town. His account may not have been far from the truth, as Port Royal was built primarily on sand. The ground gave way, consuming buildings, roads, and everything in its path. Geysers of water erupted from the ground, followed by colossal waves, some as high as 10-story buildings, which crashed down upon the city. Approximately 33 acres of Port Royal vanished beneath the waves in a cataclysmic event. Amazingly, much of the 17th century city remains remarkably well preserved beneath 40 feet of water. Archaeologists have unearthed taverns, storage rooms, kitchens, and countless other relics, offering a glimpse into the vibrant and tumultuous life of this lost city. Imagine exploring the ocean floor, where remnants of lost civilizations lie hidden beneath the waves. Forget tropical reefs. We're diving into history. Picture this. Submerged structures that once echoed with life, now silent witnesses to a forgotten past. Consider the many underwater sites, including those with buildings repurposed for various community activities. Before us stands a majestic lion statue, alongside a partially sunken bridge and a series of gracefully designed arches. But let's journey eastward, to the coast of India. Here, just offshore, lies another breathtaking underwater marvel, the lost city of Cambay, nestled in the Gulf of the same name. This incredible site remained a secret until 2001. During a routine water assessment, the National Institute of Ocean Technology deployed sonar, a technology that uses sound waves to map the seabed. What they discovered far below the surface was astonishing. Distinct geometric patterns spread across a 5-mile expanse. These remains are estimated to be over 9,500 years old, suggesting this civilization vanished around the end of the last ice age. Among the debris recovered were construction materials, pottery shards, beads, ancient sculptures, and even bone fragments. While some scientists debate the origins of these artifacts, their presence hints at a sophisticated society, potentially making Cambay one of the oldest known civilizations on Earth. Now, let's shift gears to the American West and a legend whispered across the Nevada deserts. The tale of the ancient giants. Yes, you heard right. Giants, said to have roamed the land thousands of years ago. Archaeological discoveries add fuel to this intriguing debate. Our destination, Lovelock Cave. This location served as an ancient burial ground, and some of the skeletal remains unearthed here are significantly larger than those of average humans. The cave is nestled near the Humboldt Sink in western Nevada, once part of a vast lake that eventually dried up, leaving behind smaller bodies of water. According to local legends, Lovelock Cave became the final resting place of the Teka, a tribe of red-haired giants. These beings were said to be so enormous that they had to be interred within the cave itself. Later, archaeologists reportedly discovered skeletons measuring between 8 and 10 feet tall. The story began to gain traction when a mining engineer named John T. Reed spoke with locals in 1886. Upon seeing the cave, Reed knew he had stumbled upon something extraordinary. News of the find spread, but the cave also attracted attention for another reason: the discovery of guano deposits, a valuable fertilizer. In 1911, a mining company began excavating the guano, shipping over 250 tons of the resource to San Francisco. Tragically, some of the human remains and artifacts were lost or damaged during the mining process. This led to official archaeological excavations in 1912 and 1924. After the removal of the top layer of guano, strange objects began to emerge. The earliest evidence of human habitation dates back approximately 4,000 years. The Lovelock culture thrived for around 3,000 years, leaving behind an estimated 10,000 remarkable artifacts. The pits within the cave acted as time capsules, each layer revealing a different chapter of the past. Archaeologists determined the age of each pit based on its depth, revealing that various groups had used the cave for storage over extended periods. The items they stored provide invaluable insights into their cultures, like a colossal ancient storage unit brimming with hidden treasures. What else did researchers unearth besides the giant bones? Some bodies were mummified, using techniques reminiscent of those employed by ancient Egyptians. Intriguingly, these remains shared a characteristic with mummies found as far south as Lake Titicaca: reddish hair. However, some scientists believe that the reddish hue may be a result of environmental factors affecting the remains over time. While the tale of the red-haired giants remains a captivating mystery, not all experts are convinced. Some suggest that the bones found in Lovelock Cave could be the remains of prehistoric animals, such as mammoths or ground sloths. Others maintain that there's more to the story than meets the eye. Other artifacts discovered at the site include finely woven baskets and meticulously crafted duck decoys made from tool fibers. Regardless of the truth behind the legend, Lovelock Cave undoubtedly deserves the attention it receives. You can still visit the cave today and observe the different layers of history with your own eyes. Be warned, though, it's located in a hot, arid, and isolated region. From Nevada, we travel to the Mediterranean, where archaeologists believe they may have located the palace of Odysseus, the legendary Greek king of Ithaca and hero of Homer's epic poems. Forget fiction, This is real-life adventure dating back to around 1300 BCE. Imagine turning the pages of a real-life history book, a book where myth and reality blur. We find ourselves peering into the mists of time, searching for echoes of legends whispered through millennia. For years, scholars have hunted for the palace referenced in Homer's epic poems, a palace that, until recently, seemed as elusive as the heroes and gods it housed. Now, excavations on the Ionian Islands offer a tantalizing glimpse into the past. Could this be it? The very home of Odysseus, the cunning king of Ithaca. The professor leading the dig claims the view from these ruins matches the descriptions in the Odyssey with uncanny accuracy. Known to the Romans as Ulysses, this legendary Greek hero endured a decade-long odyssey to return to Ithaca following the Trojan War. The Iliad, Homer's other monumental epic, recounts the protracted siege of Troy, a tale once dismissed as mere myth. But then, in the 1870s, the city of Troy itself was unearthed in modern-day Turkey, near what is now Çanakkale. If Troy, a city shrouded in legend, could be found, why not Odysseus's palace? The researchers meticulously followed Homer's words, treating them as a treasure map. The excavation site has revealed a sprawling building complex spanning 2 levels. Among the significant discoveries are storerooms, workshops, and an intricate drainage system. The hallmarks of a sophisticated society. A well dating back to the 8th century BCE, the very era when Odysseus is believed to have reigned, further fuels the excitement. Yet, skepticism lingers. Robert Biddlestone, a British researcher, argues that Homer's portrayal of ancient Ithaca doesn't quite align with the island as it exists today. He suggests that Odysseus's kingdom may have been situated on the island of Cephalonia. However, Adriano La Regina, an Italian archaeologist, offers a more grounded perspective. He suggests that regardless of its connection to Ulysses, the unearthing of this royal palace is itself a monumental achievement, a window into a lost world. Now, let's journey across the ocean, to the land of towering forests and ancient legends. Long ago, the Klamath Indians told stories of a cataclysmic creation, a battle that birthed Crater Lake. This is no mere fable. This story resonates with echoes of a real earth-shattering event. We find ourselves in south-central Oregon, in the western United States. The legend speaks of a fierce clash between 2 volcanic giants, Mount Mazama and Mount Shasta. As the mountains roared, the spirits of the earth and sky joined the fray. Lao, the ruler of the underworld, and Skell, the chief of the above world, clashed in a titanic struggle. The battle plunged the land into darkness, a geological drama of epic proportions. In the end, Mount Mazama crumbled, sending Lao back into the abyss. Rain then filled the void, creating the lake in the mountain's place. Fast forward to our time. Scientists have confirmed that Mount Mazama did indeed erupt approximately 7,700 years ago. Artifacts discovered in the vicinity corroborate the legend, revealing details of the ancient explosion. The tale recounts red-hot rocks soaring through the sky, a vivid depiction of the volcanic eruption that triggered the mountain's collapse. This event created the volcanic caldera that would eventually fill with water, forming the stunning Crater Lake. What makes this legend remarkable is its enduring accuracy. Researchers have found that oral traditions typically lose their fidelity within 600 to 700 years. The Crater Lake legend stands apart, a testament to the power of storytelling to preserve historical truth across countless generations. This volcanic crater lake now resides within a national park renowned for its mesmerizing deep blue waters. The water's exceptional clarity is due to the absence of rivers flowing in or out of the lake. The existing water evaporates, only to be replenished by rain and snowfall. In essence, the lake's water is entirely replaced every 250 years. Reaching a depth of nearly 2,000 feet, it is the deepest lake in the United States. Swimming is permitted, but access to the shore is limited to a single, safe trail. Fishing and boat tours are also available, allowing visitors to immerse themselves in the lake's serene beauty. Shared human experiences, such as birth, marriage, and aging, may explain the universality of certain tales. Similar struggles and challenges faced by humans worldwide give rise to common themes in traditional stories about love, family, and mortality. Do you have legends or tales passed down from your grandparents? Perhaps your ancestors, too, witnessed extraordinary historical events. Now let's shift our perspective and ponder a hypothetical scenario. Imagine that another intelligent species, perhaps humanoid or even dolphin-like, thrived on Earth millions of years ago. How would we uncover their traces? Consider the Doctor Who episode depicting a non-human industrial civilization that predates our own. These reptilian beings, known as Silurians, were driven deep underground by a catastrophic surge in Earth's temperatures. There, in the darkness, they endured for centuries. These intriguing ideas have driven scientists to propose what's known as the Silurian hypothesis. Imagine, if a sophisticated civilization predated our own, surely we would find some evidence of their existence somewhere. Let's embark on that search. Climatologist Gavin Schmidt and astrophysicist Adam Frank decided to delve into this question themselves. Like us, any technologically advanced civilization would demand vast amounts of energy. Therefore, they looked for widespread global effects that would leave a noticeable mark. For instance, indicators of large-scale industrial activities, such as factories and power plants, and the waste products they generate. The next question becomes, how long did these civilizations endure? If they existed for a significant period, we should search for enduring signs like residues from burning fossil fuels, mass extinction events, synthetic chemicals not naturally occurring, and even traces of nuclear fission. Essentially, we should be looking for the same types of evidence that humanity is currently leaving behind as proof of our activities. Unfortunately, this evidence is incredibly elusive. Let's consider a thought-provoking, even unsettling scenario. Suppose humanity vanished suddenly. Despite the seemingly profound changes we've made to the planet, a future civilization millions of years from now would struggle to find definitive proof of our existence. Why is that? Our planet has existed for an astounding 4.5 billion years. Complex life has thrived on Earth for over 400 million years. In comparison, our industrial era has lasted a mere 300 years, and we haven't left behind any truly indelible marks. The geological record of Earth's history is riddled with gaps, especially as we look further back in time. The fossil record, our primary source of information, captures only a fraction of what once existed, and it is inherently selective and incomplete. On average, only one fossil emerges every 10,000 years, and dinosaur footprints, those fleeting moments frozen in time, are even rarer. Consider the immense forces at play. Mountains rise and crumble, oceans expand and contract, and the relentless churn of plate tectonics can easily obliterate evidence of entire civilizations. After a few million years, the likelihood of any physical remnants of a civilization surviving approaches zero. To find anything at all, we would need to search for subtle anomalies, like unusual sediment patterns or peculiar isotopic ratios. Furthermore, fossils predominantly form in aquatic environments, leaving us largely ignorant about the creatures that roam the land or inhabited dense jungles. Therefore, even if a technologically advanced society thrived millions of years ago, perhaps even surpassing our own, in sophistication, we might find it almost impossible to detect any signs of their existence. Frank and Schmidt are attempting to understand how we could ever hope to identify such traces. Discovering actual cities would be the ultimate confirmation of a Silurian-style civilization on Earth. However, Adam Frank remains cautious. Even today, our cities cover less than 3% of the Earth's surface, making it remarkably easy to overlook ancient city ruins. The long-term survival of a city over tens of millions of years hinges on whether the land around it is sinking, becoming encased in rock, or rising, only to be eroded by wind and rain. Consequently, locations like the French Quarter in New Orleans might have a greater chance of being preserved in the geological record than, say, Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. When it comes to finding artifacts, the odds are equally discouraging. No prehistoric iPhone, no matter how advanced its glass, could withstand the ravages of millions of years. Discovering fossilized remnants of their technology might be slightly more promising, but it's still a long shot. Considering that modern humans have only been around for approximately 100,000 years, it's entirely plausible that we could easily miss subtle traces left by an earlier, advanced species. There is one potential avenue, however. We might stumble upon their traces embedded within rocks. Our current chaotic era might leave a distinctive signature on Earth's geological history, particularly as we are, in essence, experiencing a second Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, PETM 2.0. I will elaborate on that shortly. Scientists are focusing on changes in the carbon cycle. Humans have been releasing vast quantities of fossil carbon since the 18th century. This leaves a unique imprint on the carbon isotope ratio, a signature that differentiates between carbon found in living organisms, like seashells, and carbon present in lifeless volcanic rock. Scientists are also examining the arrangement of sediments. Large coastal deltas might indicate the presence of larger rivers, potentially engineered by this hypothetical civilization. Traces of nitrogen could suggest large-scale agricultural practices involving extensive fertilizer use. Spikes in metal concentrations within sediments could indicate runoff from heavy industries. Of course, a single isolated find would be inconclusive. Schmidt emphasizes that the key lies in identifying multiple converging indicators. Without tangible artifacts, the uniqueness of an event might be revealed through a combination of subtle clues, rather than a set of changes attributable to a single cause. On their quest for Silurian-style evidence, scientists have even turned their attention to the moon. Some astronomers are frankly baffled that this hasn't been investigated more thoroughly. Some have even jokingly speculated about dinosaurs developing rocket technology and leaving behind evidence on the moon or other celestial bodies. The thinking is this: Earth-like planets tend to obliterate traces of past civilizations on their surfaces. Therefore, they're entertaining the rather wild idea that these beings might have been interstellar travelers. If so, remnants of their technology, technosignatures, could be lurking not just on the moon, but also on asteroids, or even buried deep within the Martian soil. There, these artifacts might survive for millions, even billions of years. Despite extensive research covering the last 380 million years and examining countless unusual events, researchers have yet to find definitive proof of a technological civilization predating our own. But they aren't giving up. Professor Frank is advocating for more investigation. For instance, we could analyze how modern industrial chemicals persist in ocean sediments. This, he argues, could help us identify similar chemical markers in Earth's distant past. But if we find nothing, is the search pointless? Absolutely not. This research is rooted in recent papers by Schmidt and Frank, which delve into the concept of the Anthropocene, the proposed geological epoch defined by significant human impact on Earth. The prehistoric record is punctuated by hyperthermals, periods when Earth's temperatures spike dramatically in a relatively short time frame. Think of them as extreme prehistoric heat waves. A prime example is the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, or PETM, which occurred approximately 55.5 million years ago. During the PETM, global average temperatures surged from about 9 degrees to 14 degrees Fahrenheit over a span of roughly 200,000 years. By studying these hyperthermals, scientists aim to understand whether they resulted from natural phenomena or from the activities of a previous civilization. These hyperthermals served as the catalyst for Frank and Schmidt's research. Scientists began scrutinizing chemical signals and tracers preserved in ancient rocks. In doing so, Schmidt and Frank discovered striking parallels between the climate challenges we face today and periods of rapid temperature change in the distant past. The PETM, for example, bears a strong resemblance to other hyperthermal events. This research isn't merely about unraveling a historical enigma. By understanding our impact on the environment, we can learn to live in harmony with our planet and avoid becoming just another forgotten species in the annals of time. Our Milky Way galaxy teems with potentially habitable planets, but we don't know if other civilizations exist. Earth remains the only confirmed home to life as we know it. 2 centuries ago, the existence of civilizations on Mars was a genuine question. But once space probes sent back images, the idea faded, deemed unscientific. But no one has truly defined the limits of what could have happened on our own planet in the remote past. So, even without solid proof, we shouldn't dismiss the possibility. Remember, it took humanity a long time to recognize the existence of dinosaurs. Perhaps these ancient beings are simply biding their time. Imagine being tasked with answering one of the most profound questions in human history. What was the first civilization on Earth? The job description is deceptively simple, yet the challenge is immense. Your mission: to uncover proof of the world's first true civilization. Was it the Sumerians in ancient Mesopotamia, or the Egyptians along the Nile River? No pressure, but the weight of history rests in your hands. Good luck. You can't simply travel back in time to ancient Mesopotamia for the answers. Instead, you must meticulously research museum databases for clues. First, a working definition of civilization is needed. It's more than just a large group of people living peacefully together. Key elements define a civilization: urbanism, city building, advanced irrigation systems, and, crucially, a system of writing. You decide to begin your investigation with the Sumerians, currently considered the world's first civilization. Imagine being the first of your kind, with no external examples to follow, starting entirely from scratch. The first requirement is land. And, of course, since there were no established water companies back then. Imagine, if you will, a remote Tibetan plateau, decades ago. Tales whispered of an ancient race, the Dropa, beings from another star system who, millennia ago, crash-landed on Earth. Legend had it that these extraterrestrial visitors attempted to integrate with humanity, only to be relentlessly hunted by fearful locals. But the truth, as it often does, remains elusive. The story, gaining traction in the 1960s through a series of articles, always felt incomplete. The purported archaeologists, the esteemed professors, the very university they claimed as their own, all vanished without a trace from historical records. While the Dropka people do indeed exist in Tibet, they are undeniably human, not interstellar travelers. And the so-called Dropa Stones, artifacts said to possess alien knowledge, lack any credible evidence of their existence. Now let's shift our gaze to a desolate corner of China, where the bizarre Bian pipes emerge from the earth. Discovered in 1996 by a local explorer, these formations jutted out from Mount Bian and lined the shores of nearby Tosan Lake. Immediately, whispers arose. Could these be the handiwork of ancient astronauts? Initial analysis revealed a composition of common minerals, but a puzzling 8% remained unidentified. Further, specialized testing indicated these pipes predated humankind's arrival. Chinese geologists, venturing to the site, proposed a more terrestrial explanation. Perhaps these were the result of sediment accumulating within fissures in the earth, or even fossilized tree roots, remnants of a more verdant past. The mystery, however, persists. Our journey takes us next to Mexico, to the unearthing of a terracotta head, its name a tongue twister. Discovered in the 1930s during a burial excavation, its resemblance to classical Roman statuary raised immediate questions. What was such an artifact doing in the heart of Mesoamerica? The discoverer, shrouded in secrecy, kept the find hidden for decades. The head emerged from a three-tiered pyramid, approximately 40 miles from Mexico City, alongside treasures of gold, copper, and pottery. Some speculate that its age, if verified, could rewrite history, suggesting Roman or other ancient civilizations reached the Americas long before Columbus. Theories of drift voyages and shipwrecks abound, hinting at artifacts and survivors washing ashore. Others propose a Viking origin, a souvenir brought across the Atlantic. Yet, solid archaeological proof of pre-Columbian contact remains stubbornly elusive. The head's presence remains an enigma, a puzzle without a clear solution. In Romania, along a riverbank, construction workers unearthed a peculiar wedge, now famously known as the aluminum wedge of Aiud, or simply, the object of Aiud. Found alongside it were the fossilized bones of a mastodon, an ancient relative of the elephant that roamed the earth over 11,000 years ago. This suggests the wedge is of similar age. The astonishing part? It's crafted from aluminum, a metal unknown to humankind until the 19th century. Its creation demands intense heat. Furthermore, the wedge is encased in a thick layer of oxidation accumulated over centuries. Some believe this is evidence of a crashed spacecraft from another world. Skeptics dismiss it as a hoax, while others suggest it's a human-made object of unknown purpose. The debate rages on. Finally, let's consider the Clerk spheres, enigmatic objects discovered in South African deposits of the mineral pyrite, sparking intense debate within the scientific community. These spherical objects, dating back a staggering 3 billion years, resemble miniature cricket balls, complete with seam-like lines around their middles. In the 1980s, some proposed they were the product of an advanced, pre-Diluvian civilization, lost to the mists of time. Tales circulated of these spheres rotating spontaneously within their display cases. A television show even featured a psychic who proclaimed them to be components of an ancient spaceship. However, geologists offer a more prosaic explanation. These spheres are concretions, spherical formations composed of minerals distinct from the surrounding rock. The seam-like lines are simply imprints from the host rock's layers, building up over eons. The Clerk spheres vary in shape, from flattened orbs to distinct disks. As for the alleged spontaneous rotation, the curator of the Clerk's Dorp Museum clarified that the movement was a natural consequence of placing a round object on a smooth glass shelf, coupled with the tremors common in the gold mining region where the museum is located. Our journey concludes on the Greek island of Crete, where, in 2002, the oldest known human-like footprints were discovered. These impressions in stone, potentially dating back 6 million years, could rewrite our understanding of early human migration, suggesting that our ancestors traversed between Europe and Africa far earlier than previously believed. This revelation doesn't diminish Africa's role as the cradle of humanity. Imagine a world before empires, before even the concept of nations. To build a civilization in such a time, you needed land and, crucially, access to fresh water. The Sumerians, those pioneers of the ancient world, found their home between two mighty rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. This fertile crescent, known as Mesopotamia, flourished around 5000 BCE. Fun fact, Mesopotamia literally translates to the land between two rivers. If you were to look at a modern map, you'd find this cradle of civilization nestled within the borders of present-day Iraq. But land alone wasn't enough. A civilization needed sustenance, a reliable way to feed its people. The Sumerians faced a harsh reality, a dry, unforgiving climate. Yet, through ingenuity and sheer determination, they transformed the landscape. They masterfully diverted the life-giving waters of the rivers, creating intricate networks of canals, reservoirs, and dams. This allowed agriculture to not only survive, but thrive in the region. As a result, settlements began to emerge across the Mesopotamian plains, each a testament to Sumerian resilience. Among these settlements rose the legendary city of Babylon. Ah, Babylon, a name that conjures images of opulence and grandeur, particularly its fabled hanging gardens. Supposedly, these gardens were a breathtaking spectacle, a verdant paradise suspended in the arid landscape. I say supposedly because, despite their legendary status, definitive proof of their existence has remained elusive. Yet their fame endures, earning them a place among the 7 wonders of the ancient world, cited as a remarkable feat of engineering in ancient texts dating back to around 290 BCE. Even without concrete evidence of the hanging gardens, the Sumerians were undeniably skilled builders. Their cities were filled with structures crafted from mud brick, testaments to their architectural prowess. And towering above all were the ziggurats, stepped pyramids that dominated the skyline. These weren't mere monuments. They were built for spiritual purposes, reaching towards the heavens. But the Sumerians were not just builders and farmers, they were also traders. Recognizing the scarcity of certain resources, they established a trade network, exchanging goods with neighboring civilizations like Anatolia and Egypt. And it was this burgeoning trade that spurred the Sumerians to develop what is believed to be the world's first writing system. Imagine a time before alphabets, before easily replicable letters. The earliest form of Sumerian writing, dating back to around 3400 BCE, was a simple system where each syllable was represented by a drawing. Over time, this evolved into a more complex, cursive writing system. Don't believe me? Consider this: the Hammurabi Code. This massive basalt plaque, a relic from Babylonian times, is recognized as humanity's first collection of written laws. Carved into volcanic stone around 1760 BCE, the precision of the carvings is astonishing. But the content is even more surprising. These 282 rules cover everything from commercial regulations to strict laws of justice, offering a glimpse into the complexities of Sumerian society. However, the story of writing's origin is not without its twists. Historians remain divided on whether the Sumerians were truly the first to invent writing. Some believe that the ancient Egyptians may have predated them. Let's pause here and turn our gaze towards the land of pharaohs. Ancient Egyptian settlements are believed to have begun around 5500 BCE, predating the Sumerian civilization. But remember, a civilization requires more than just settlements. Ancient Egypt initially consisted of several smaller city-states, such as Memphis, Abydos, and Thebes, scattered along the fertile banks of the Nile River. It wasn't until 3000 BCE that Egypt was unified under a single kingdom, an empire that would endure for nearly 1,000 years. Adding to the mystery, some Egyptologists suggest that Sumerian immigrants may have played a role in founding early Egyptian settlements. The evidence? The presence of cylinder seals made of hard stone, a common tool in Sumer. These seals were used to authenticate legal transactions. But it's difficult to determine whether this method was introduced by Sumerian immigrants or simply through trade. So, how do we determine who came first? Since the timeline is debated, we must look elsewhere. Like the Sumerians, the Egyptians were also master builders. Just look at the Giza pyramids, colossal monuments that still inspire awe today. To improve their building techniques, they delved into mathematics, developing a new form of measurement called the cubit, roughly equivalent to the length of a forearm. The Great Pyramid, for example, measures 440 cubits by 440 cubits. They were also innovative astronomers, combining their mathematical skills with careful observation of the heavens. They were the first civilization to divide the day into 24 hours. And they even created a solar calendar, the first dating system in history to feature 365 days in a year. Okay, it's undeniable, the Egyptians were impressive. But some experts believe the dispute over the origin of writing can be resolved by comparing the two civilizations' writing systems. Hieroglyphic writing, the earliest form of Egyptian writing, dates back to around 30,000 BCU. It was composed of over 700 symbols carved in stone. For a long time, researchers believed that Sumerian writing predated Egyptian hieroglyphs. But let's journey back in time, not to the age of dinosaurs, but to a period when early civilizations were just beginning to take root. A fascinating debate rages among historians and archaeologists. Which culture can truly claim the title of the world's oldest civilization? A discovery by Yale researchers throws a new log onto this historical fire. They unearthed a panel displaying 4 distinct symbols believed to have been etched around 3250 BCE. And that's not all. A rock drawing depicting a pregnant elephant has also come to light, potentially dating back to 4000 BCE. But there's another compelling contender, one that often gets less attention: the Indus Valley Civilization. Flourishing in the region of modern-day Pakistan and India, this ancient society presents a strong case for being the oldest. The exact origins of the Hindu Upanishads, a collection of sacred texts, remain shrouded in mystery, further complicating the timeline. The Indus Valley Civilization thrived around 3000 BCE, but evidence suggests that its people were already engaged in trade with Mesopotamians as early as 3500 BCE. Now, how is this possible? Were these ancient people time travelers? Of course not. This is no science fiction epic. What we see is the gradual evolution of agricultural settlements into larger urban centers, such as Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. These ancient Indian cities were remarkably sophisticated, featuring homes constructed of baked brick, arranged in a precise grid system. Imagine, even back then, they had advanced drainage and sewage systems, connecting most homes and utilizing gravity to efficiently carry waste away from the city. These people were also deeply religious, with Hindu beliefs forming the bedrock of their society. Surprisingly, their cities weren't dominated by spiritual structures. In fact, Mohenjo-Daro's most prominent building was a public bath, a testament to their priorities. So, why can't we definitively declare them the oldest civilization on Earth? While some historians suspect that the Indus Valley people's origins might stretch back as far as 5000 BCE, concrete evidence remains elusive, leaving us with speculation. The Upanishads offer the strongest clues. These texts, rich in philosophy, mantras, and ceremonial practices, were initially passed down orally, a common practice in ancient Hindu traditions. It took considerable time before they were transcribed into written form. Ultimately, the question of which civilization was truly the world's first remains unanswered. At this point, we can only speculate, hoping that future discoveries will shed new light on this enduring mystery. Speaking of discoveries, let's fast forward to the present day. For 2 centuries, archaeologists have meticulously studied the ancient city of Petra in Jordan. And just recently, in 2024, they stumbled upon something truly extraordinary. A tomb containing at least 12 complete human skeletons, alongside artifacts dating back over 2,000 years. This incredible find was located right in front of the treasury, Petra's iconic facade. Bronze, iron, and ceramic objects were carefully placed alongside the deceased, a poignant reminder of how people honored their loved ones in ancient times. This tomb offers a rare opportunity for scientists to delve deeper into the lives of the Nabateans, the Arabian nomadic people who built the magnificent city of Petra. The objects unearthed within the tomb are remarkably well preserved. However, the skeletons have become fragile due to the damp conditions inside. Plans are underway to carefully study the remains and extract DNA, hoping to determine if the individuals buried within the tomb were related. While some scientists are focused on unraveling the mysteries of ancient tombs, others are harnessing the power of artificial intelligence to locate new archaeological sites. They've developed an algorithm that analyzes specialized satellite imagery. This technique uses radio waves capable of penetrating beneath layers of sand, soil, and even ice, revealing hidden objects. The AI will be deployed to scour the vast Arabian Peninsula, specifically the Empty Quarter, in search of undiscovered archaeological treasures. The lead scientists trained the algorithm to identify potential sites using data from previously discovered locations. This cutting-edge technology can detect buried structures with remarkable precision, accurate to within 20 inches. Another revolutionary technology, LiDAR, light detection and ranging, has already proven invaluable in uncovering hidden cities around the globe. LiDAR can penetrate dense vegetation, revealing large structures and mapping subtle variations in ancient landscapes. By scanning expansive areas from a small aircraft, LiDAR allows researchers to study regions that are difficult to access on foot, such as dense jungles. In 2024 alone, LiDAR technology has led to the discovery of new Mayan settlements in southern Mexico. Intricate garden systems, roads, and rivers in Ecuador's Amazon rainforest, ancient ruins on the Pacific island of Tonga, and the remains of 2 medieval cities along the Silk Road in Uzbekistan. Perhaps one day, this same smart technology can help us explain the appearance of Marge Simpson in an ancient Egyptian tomb dating back 3,000 years. The drawing, depicting a woman with yellow skin, a blue crown, and a green outfit, bears an uncanny resemblance to the famous cartoon character. Whether you see the resemblance or not, these discoveries continue to fuel our fascination with the past. Let's journey back in time to witness some incredible discoveries. Imagine stumbling upon an exquisitely preserved necklace adorned with amethyst and agate beads. This remarkable piece was unearthed in Egypt, a recent find from an ancient tomb containing 11 sealed burials near Luxor. Alongside the necklace, archaeologists discovered 2 copper mirrors. One mirror boasts a lotus-shaped handle, while the other features a unique design depicting the deity of the sky, women, fertility, and love in ancient Egyptian lore. The figurine's hair was originally crafted from nearly 4,000 mud beads. Another astounding find from 2024 is an ancient Greek shrine, complete with intact burials, a sarcophagus, and a wealth of gold. Experts believe it was constructed before the year 300, prior to the Common Era. The marble lions discovered within the shrine were fashioned from the same marble used in the Parthenon in Athens. Greece is a treasure trove of ancient artifacts, so much so that the city of Thessaloniki will house approximately 300,000 of these relics within its new subway system. Meanwhile, in France, archaeologists have unearthed a monument unlike any other, its purpose shrouded in mystery. This discovery serves as concrete evidence of human habitation between the Neolithic and early Iron Age periods. The most intriguing aspect is the monument's construction, comprising 3 unique shapes that interlock like puzzle pieces. The presence of gravel within the monument suggests the existence of a wooden fence known as a palisade. It's believed that the builders employed this palisade for either protection or decorative purposes. The team meticulously analyzed the soil layers surrounding the monument to glean insights into its origins. The only tools recovered thus far are sharp flint stones, characteristic of the Neolithic period. The next crucial step involves radiocarbon dating to pinpoint the site's precise age. Now, picture this. The oldest saddle ever found, discovered in the grave of a woman near the edge of the Taklamakan Desert in northwest China. This saddle, the oldest of its kind, was meticulously crafted from pieces of leather sewn together and stuffed with straw and animal hair for added comfort. Typically, artifacts made from natural materials like these are highly perishable, succumbing to rot and decay. However, the arid climate of the Taklamakan Desert played a crucial role in preserving this remarkable artifact. The horsewoman, buried in her full riding attire, provides compelling evidence that women, too, participated in herding and travel. Let's travel now to Guatemala, where an ornate jade mask, crafted by the ancient Maya people, lay hidden for centuries, awaiting discovery. Scientists employ radiocarbon dating to determine the mask's age, estimating that it may represent a Maya storm deity, a powerful figure in their mythology. Masks of this nature were frequently created to honor Maya royalty and were placed within the tombs of kings and queens upon their burial. The king's tomb was adorned with carvings fashioned from volcanic obsidian tools. After 15 years of relentless searching, scientists may have finally pinpointed the source of Stonehenge's altar stone. By comparing the minute minerals within the altar stone to rocks from various locations in Wales and England, they systematically eliminated numerous possibilities. Ultimately, they found a perfect match with a site in Scotland, over 406 miles from Stonehenge. This area might even be Orkney, a group of islands in the far northeast of Scotland, a hub of activity during the Neolithic period. The pressing question now is how ancient peoples managed to transport such a colossal stone across such a vast distance. The altar stone measures over 16 feet in length and weighs more than 6 tons, roughly the size of a small car. The prevailing theory suggests they utilized boats to transport the stone along coastlines and rivers. Upon reaching a point near Stonehenge, they likely dragged it across the land using wooden sleds, ropes, and a significant amount of coordinated teamwork. In northern France, the construction of a new house led to the unearthing of an ancient home. This residence proved to be a luxurious urban dwelling for the elite, dating back to the 2nd century of the Common Era. A devastating fire ravaged the interior of the house, but beneath the layer of destruction lie exquisite, life-sized fresco paintings. In Turkey, archaeologists have unearthed the arm and foot bones of elephants that roamed the earth approximately 9 million years ago. Alongside these remarkable finds, they discovered fossils of early horses, giraffes, and even saber-toothed cats, Machairodontinae. To date, they have identified 43 distinct animal species from this site and amassed over 4,000 fossils. Another fascinating discovery from Turkey is a 64,000-year-old workshop located within a cave. It appears that people used this workshop continuously for 24,000 years. Inside, archaeologists found tools such as flakes and blades, which were manufactured within the workshop itself. Furthermore, in eastern Turkey, a farmer inadvertently stumbled upon a 1,000-foot mosaic dating back to the late Roman or early Byzantine period. Imagine, if you will, the parched earth of ancient Turkey, concealing secrets buried for eons. Here, just beneath the surface, a remarkable find has emerged. Experts are calling it a singular discovery, unique to this very region, and miraculously preserved in a single piece despite the relentless passage of time. This isn't just any artifact, it's a window into a lost world. The intricate patterns etched upon its surface depict a vibrant ecosystem teeming with life. Dozens of trees, plants, and animals, all inhabitants of ancient Turkey, are rendered with astonishing detail. It's a breathtaking panorama of a world that vanished long ago, a snapshot of life as it once was. And the story may not end here. The discovery hints at the possibility of further treasures lying dormant beneath the soil. Spurred by this incredible find, the excavation will continue, promising to unearth even more secrets from the depths of time. Now, let's journey to the sun-drenched island of Sicily, where another extraordinary discovery awaits. Here, archaeologists have unearthed a colossal ancient thermal complex, a testament to the ingenuity and sophistication of a bygone era. Within its walls, they've uncovered two magnificent rooms, their floors adorned with dazzling mosaics. Imagine the vibrant colors, the intricate designs, brought back to light after centuries of darkness. A sprawling courtyard, embraced by elegant arched wings, completes the picture of opulent relaxation and social gathering. But the exploration didn't stop there. As the archaeologists delved deeper, they unearthed more and more fragments of the ancient city, piecing together the puzzle of its past. New roads, once bustling with activity, were revealed, along with the skeletal remains of a massive complex, its purpose now shrouded in mystery. Stretches of ancient stone walls, remnants of the city's formidable fortifications, stand as silent witnesses to battles fought and victories won. These remarkable discoveries are more than just artifacts. They're invaluable clues that help scientists reconstruct a vivid image of what this ancient city might have looked like in its prime. Picture the bustling streets, the grand buildings, the vibrant life that once filled these spaces. The question remains, who built this magnificent bathhouse? Was it the Greeks, with their love of philosophy and athletics, or the Romans, renowned for their engineering prowess and opulent lifestyle? Both civilizations left their mark on Sicily, and the answer to this intriguing question remains elusive, lost in the mists of time. The mystery endures, inviting us to ponder the lives of those who came before. Imagine a team of paleontologists meticulously brushing away layers of sediment, unearthing clues to the distant past. What secrets will they reveal? Let's journey back in time and examine some truly baffling discoveries. One such mystery revolves around a set of ancient footprints. These aren't just any footprints. They challenge our understanding of early human migration. Could they rewrite the story of how our ancestors populated the globe? Some researchers propose these imprints offer evidence that early hominids traversed continents far earlier than previously believed. The footprints, potentially linked to a bipedal creature nicknamed Elgrio, display remarkably human-like characteristics. Scientists who've studied them note the presence of 5 toes and a parallel big toe, features strongly reminiscent of modern human feet. However, skepticism lingers. Some experts suggest these prints might belong to a late European ape, a creature with similar foot structure. To resolve this debate, a new study analyzed fossilized marine microorganisms found within the surrounding sedimentary rocks. The goal? To precisely date the footprints and determine if they truly are a staggering 6 million years old. Now, let's shift our attention to another enigma. The Dorchester pot. Picture a beautifully crafted metal vessel, adorned with intricate geometric designs embossed in shimmering silver. This artifact was unearthed in Dorchester in 1852 under remarkably peculiar circumstances. A powerful explosion shattered the pot into 2 pieces, revealing that it was originally embedded within a rock or boulder known as pudding stone. The age of this rock formation is estimated to be around 500 million years old. This raises the tantalizing possibility that the pot itself is of comparable antiquity. If authentic, this would imply an unimaginable level of technological sophistication far beyond anything we'd expect for that era. However, a more conventional theory suggests the Dorchester pot is a Victorian-era candlestick holder. These ornate items were fashionable at the time, making its discovery less surprising. The Dorchester pot falls into a category of artifacts known as out-of-place artifacts, or UPARTs. These objects appear too advanced for the historical period to which they are attributed. If we accept a 500 million year age for the pot, the creators were centuries ahead of their time. Adding to the intrigue, the pot features an engraving of a plant species that likely vanished from Earth over 100,000 years ago, seemingly solidifying its ancient origins. Our journey now takes us to Europe, to a stone slab discovered in France in 1900. This slab is believed to be the oldest map in Europe, dating back 4,000 years to the Bronze Age. Unearthed from an ancient burial ground, the carvings on the slab depict a river network in 3 dimensions with remarkable accuracy, approximately 80% over an 18-mile stretch. While stone-carved maps exist elsewhere, this one stands out because it portrays a specific area to scale. But the slab's carvings extend beyond rivers and hills. They also appear to represent settlements, barrow sites, and field systems. Archaeologists believe it wasn't a tool for navigation, but rather a symbol of power. The detailed markings likely serve to illustrate the domain of a local ruler, perhaps a prince or king, to demonstrate their control over the territory. When the ruler's power waned, the slab was repurposed as part of a burial vault. For decades, this unique artifact lay forgotten in a museum cellar. It wasn't until several scholars stumbled upon old reports and decided to investigate that its significance was recognized. A detailed analysis using 3D techniques revealed that the creators had not only etched lines into the rock, but also modified its surface to reflect the topography of the landscape with astonishing precision. Finally, we come to the enigmatic Salzburg cube, also known as the wolf's egg iron. Discovered in Austria in the late 19th century, this object defies easy categorization. Despite its name, it's not a cube at all. Instead, it resembles a rounded object with 2 flattened sides. A groove runs down the middle, and the surface is covered in pits and craters. This strange appearance has led some to speculate that it might be extraterrestrial in origin. Workers stumbled upon this artifact while blasting apart a piece of coal. The coal seam from which it originated is estimated to be over 60 million years old. The Salzburg cube has had a tumultuous history, moving between museums, mysteriously disappearing in the early 20th century, and then reappearing. One professor suggested it might be a fragment of a meteorite. However, analysis revealed no traces of elements typically found in meteorites, such as cobalt or nickel. Researchers then hypothesized that it could be a human-made object, perhaps another Victorian-era candlestick holder. The true origin of the Salzburg cube remains unknown, and its current whereabouts are a mystery as it has vanished once again. Let's not forget the Meister print. Discovered in 1968, this fossilized sandal print has fueled intense debate. What makes it so intriguing? The presence of a trilobite fossilized within the print. Trilobites are believed to have gone extinct approximately 500 million years before the emergence of humans. While many historians believe this timeline to be an exaggeration, the implications are still staggering. When Meister initially presented his find, it was indeed authenticated. However, the scientists who examined it only confirmed the presence of a trilobite fossil. They did not verify that it was a human sandal print. The mystery endures. Imagine a paleontologist carefully excavating a site. Suddenly, his eyes widen. He's unearthed something truly bizarre. But what is it? In this case, another scientist visited the location and discovered a 6-inch impression that seemed to be from a child's moccasin. But this wasn't just any old piece of footwear. It appeared brand new. Could this be evidence of time travel? Proof that humans existed millions of years earlier than previously believed? Or perhaps a sign that extraterrestrial visitors once walked the Earth? Or is it simply a rock formation that by chance resembles a sandal print? The mystery remains unsolved. Now let's journey back to June 1936, to Red Creek in London, Texas. A couple strolled along the creek bed when they stumbled upon something peculiar, a piece of wood protruding from what looked like an ancient rock formation. Years later, their inquisitive son decided to crack open the rock to see what secrets it held. To his astonishment, he discovered a hammer inside, one that looked surprisingly modern. An enthusiast of unusual finds suggested that the rock encasing the hammer dated back to the Cretaceous period. Picture this, someone dropping a 19th century hammer while dinosaurs like Triceratops horridus, still roam the planet. If this hammer truly originated from the Cretaceous period, it would challenge the entire theory of evolution. Alternatively, if the hammer was modern, it would imply that the Cretaceous rock formation was far younger than initially estimated. However, the truth was far simpler. The hammer was indeed a modern artifact, and geological processes had encased it in rock over time. Minerals can harden around an object relatively quickly. It's likely that a miner dropped the hammer a century or so ago, and the rock gradually formed around it. So, no, it wasn't a Victorian-era candlestick holder after all. Fast forward to 1898. Imagine yourself participating in excavations in Saqqara, not far from Cairo. This area teems with ancient tombs and pyramids. You're in your Indiana Jones mood, hoping to unearth something truly remarkable to achieve fame and glory, perhaps gold manuscripts, treasure maps, or the mummies of renowned pharaohs. But wait, what's this? A wooden bird? Disappointment washes over you as it resembles nothing more than a common toy, an old one, but a toy nonetheless. Little do you know that years later, someone would propose that your bird was actually an ancient monoplane. The artifact, dubbed the Saqqara Bird, is crafted from sycamore wood. This little birdie boasts a wingspan of just 7 inches and weighs approximately 40 grams. A perfect original souvenir from Egypt, one might say. Over 2,000 years old, it appears rather plain, lacking carvings of feathers or other intricate ornaments. However, it does feature a beak and eyes, giving it the appearance of a hawk, the emblem of the deity Horus. Its tail is quite unusual, squared off and oddly upright, with what appears to be a sunken area that once held a missing piece. Humans are captivated by a good mystery, and the Saqqara bird is no exception. Numerous attempts have been made to explain its purpose. The first, and perhaps simplest, explanation is that it was a ceremonial object. Another idea suggests that it was a toy for a child from a wealthy family. It could even have been a type of boomerang, a popular concept in ancient Egypt. A theory also arose that the bird served as a weather vane, but this has been debunked, as the figure lacks any holes or markings, except for the one created at the museum in Cairo to mount the exhibit on a stick. Therefore, there was no way to suspend it in the past. Almost a century after the bird's discovery, Egyptologist Dr. Khalil Messiah proposed a groundbreaking theory, that it could be a model of a monoplane. He believed that the bird was missing a horizontal tailplane. Otherwise, its wings were set at a right angle, similar to those of modern aircraft. He argued that it could have generated the aerodynamic lift necessary for flight. Dr. Messiah also claimed that it was common practice at the time to place miniature models of technological inventions in tombs. So, did the ancient Egyptians truly invent the plane in 200 BCE? Such a revelation would certainly upset the Wright brothers, who are widely regarded as the inventors of aviation. They conducted one of their first flights only in 1903. There's only one way to know for sure, to test the model. However, the ancient museum in Cairo would likely never allow one of their cherished exhibits to be flown around like a toy. That's why glider designer Martin Gregory constructed a similar model, this time from balsa wood, and concluded that even with the missing tailplane, the plane wasn't much of a flyer. Case closed. Not quite. This didn't sound convincing enough to the History Channel, so they invited an aerodynamics expert to build another replica of the bird. He tested it in weather conditions similar to those in Egypt and was impressed with the little plane's capabilities. So, if they did invent the prototype of a plane back in the times of pharaohs, it would be a good example of an... Imagine a world where the future peeks through the cracks of the past. We're talking about out-of-place artifacts. Those objects that seem to leapfrog across time, defying our understanding of history and technological progress. And the Saqqara Bird, that enigmatic wooden artifact from ancient Egypt, is just the tip of the iceberg. Let's plunge into the depths of the Aegean Sea, circa 1901. Divers emerge from a shipwreck near the tiny Greek island of Antikythera, clutching a mysterious object. This is no ordinary relic. It's the Antikythera mechanism, hailed as the world's first analog computer. Picture a bronze marvel, meticulously crafted around 100 BCE, capable of charting the positions of the sun, moon, and planets with astonishing accuracy. It could even predict lunar phases, the dates of upcoming solar eclipses, and the moon's celestial speed. Who conceived this intricate device? How was it used? The answers remain shrouded in mystery, but one thing is undeniable. Its precision is centuries ahead of its time. Now consider the humble flushing toilet. One might assume this marvel of sanitation is a relatively modern invention, perhaps from the mid-20th century. But let's journey back 4 millennia. On the Mediterranean island of Crete, the Minoans, and simultaneously, the Indus Valley civilization, independently conceived and executed remarkably sophisticated plumbing systems. These systems were so advanced, so well-engineered, that no one managed to significantly improve upon them for another 2,000 years. At the Palace of Knossos, an ancient Minoan lavatory reveals a wooden seat perched above a tunnel, cleverly channeling water from a rooftop reservoir to an underground sewer. Other designs utilize jugs for flushing. This level of comfort and hygiene was, of course, reserved for the elite, the super-rich of their time. In the real estate market of the ancient world, a flushing toilet was the ultimate status symbol, a clear sign you'd arrived in the wealthiest neighborhood. Fast forward to 1931, and automated doors seem like a dazzling new innovation. But the underlying principle dates back almost 2 millennia. Imagine Heron of Alexandria, a brilliant mathematician and engineer from the 1st century CE, devising a hydraulic system to gracefully open and close temple doors. The process was ingenious. A fire was lit to generate heat, warming a brass pot half filled with water. This pot was connected to containers acting as weights. As the fire blazed, the heated water flowed into the containers, causing them to descend and pull ropes, triggering the doors to swing open. This was a far cry from the instantaneous, sensor-activated doors we know today. Heron's doors took hours to open, an irreversible process. They were used sparingly, perhaps once a day before ceremonies, adding an air of mystique and wonder to the temple rituals. And now, a spooky discovery from Baghdad. Around 2,000 years ago, it seems someone may have invented the first battery. In 1938, a German archaeologist unearthed an oval-shaped clay jar. The jar's true purpose and the identity of its inventor remain subjects of debate. One compelling theory suggests it was used for electroplating objects with precious metals. When filled with a weak acid, such as vinegar, this ancient battery could generate approximately 1 volt of electricity. Another theory posits that it served as a vessel for safeguarding sacred scrolls. Ever dreamt of wearing contact lenses designed by Leonardo da Vinci himself? In 1508, the Renaissance genius conceived a glass lens equipped with a funnel. The idea was to fill it with water and wear it, thereby improving vision. Sounds a tad uncomfortable, doesn't it? A century later, French scientist René Descartes sought to refine the concept, envisioning lenses that made direct contact with the cornea, hence contact lenses. Descartes' glass tube filled with liquid did enhance vision, but alas, blinking was rendered impossible. 2.5 centuries passed before advancements in glass-making technology allowed scientists to design lenses that comfortably fit the eye and even permitted blinking. However, these early lenses were crafted from heavy blown glass, hindering the eye's ability to breathe. Around 50 years later, contacts transitioned to plastic, becoming lightweight, unbreakable, and scratch-resistant, though they still covered the entire eye. Finally, in 1948, an English optical technician, through a serendipitous sanding mishap, realized that a plastic lens could remain securely in place even when covering only the cornea. Picture yourself in 19th century London, desperate to send a message to New York. The journey would take approximately 10 days by ship. So, In 1858, when delivery times plummeted from days to mere hours, it was a global sensation. Queen Victoria herself dispatched the inaugural message, made possible by the groundbreaking transatlantic telegraph cable snaking beneath the ocean. Sadly, this technological marvel proved short-lived, lasting only a few weeks before succumbing to technical difficulties. Years would pass before it could be resurrected. For generations, we've believed that Stonehenge, that iconic monument of standing stones, served as an ancient calendar, its alignment meticulously calibrated with the summer and winter solstices. For years, the secrets of Stonehenge remained locked away, a puzzle that defied explanation. But now, a team of dedicated researchers has unveiled a groundbreaking study, suggesting that this ancient monument may have functioned as a sophisticated solar calendar. Imagine a calendar akin to that used by the ancient Egyptians, meticulously tracking the passage of time based on the solar year of 365.25 days. Each towering stone within the Great Sarsen Circle, those massive boulders that define Stonehenge, potentially represented a single day within a month. This wasn't just any calendar, it was a perpetual calendar, allowing the people who lived near what we now know as Wiltshire, UK, to precisely monitor the winter solstice sunset, ensuring they stayed synchronized with the seasons. Thanks to this remarkable discovery in 2020, we're beginning to grasp the ingenuity of this ancient calendar system. The research team meticulously identified the source of 50 out of the 52 Sarsen stones that form the iconic circle. By analyzing their chemical composition, they traced their origins back to the West Woods in Wiltshire, a location approximately 15 miles from the monument itself. What's more, these 50 Sarsen stones not only shared a common origin, but were also erected in their current positions around the same time. Together they create the outer circle of Stonehenge, along with a horseshoe-shaped inner ring. Now, let's turn our attention to the center of the monument, where smaller rocks, known as blue stones, reside. These stones, in contrast to the Sarsens, were traced all the way back to Wales. Further analysis revealed that the Sarsen stones share a remarkably consistent chemistry, composed of over 99% silica, with trace elements. Intriguingly, 2 of the Sarsen stones displayed a different chemical composition, setting them apart from the main cluster. These Sarsen stones were arranged into 3 distinct formations at Stonehenge. 30 of them formed the colossal stone circle that dominates the landscape. 4 station stones were positioned in a rectangular formation outside the circle, while the remaining stones were used to construct 5 trilithons within the stone circle. A trilithon, for those unfamiliar, consists of 2 vertical stones supporting a horizontal lintel at the top. The numbers 30, 5, and 4 hold particular significance within the context of this calendar system. The 30 upright stones encircling the main Sarsen ring could represent the days of the month. Multiply that by 12, and you arrive at 360. Add the 5 stones from the central trilithons, and the total becomes 365. To accurately align the calendar with the solar year, an extra leap day is required every 4 years. The team proposes that the ancient people used the 4 station stones to meticulously track this crucial adjustment. In this system, the summer and winter solstices were paired each year with the same pair of stones. The construction of Stonehenge began approximately 5,000 years ago, a monumental undertaking that spanned over 1,000 years. However, the Stonehenge we see today is not the complete original structure. Over time, many of its blue stones and Sarsen stones have been broken or removed. The entire structure has undergone transformations across countless generations, an estimated 180 who participated in its building and rebuilding. The creation of Stonehenge unfolded in 4 distinct stages. First, a circular enclosure was built, stretching over 330 feet, 100 meters, in diameter and encompassing 56 pits. A high bank flanks the ditch of the enclosure, while a low bank sits on the outside. Some theories even suggest that this initial phase served as a communal cemetery. During the second stage, builders added a horseshoe of Sarsen trilithons, adding to the monument's complexity. In the third stage, a ceremonial avenue nearly 2 miles long was constructed. This avenue potentially traced the path of the blue stones, guiding them from the Aubrey holes to the Q and R holes, a double arc into which these stones were arranged. Builders also reorganized the entrance stones and recut the main enclosure ditch at this stage. Finally, during the fourth stage, stones were broken and builders etched carvings into the sarsen stones. Later, the blue stones underwent further modifications. The builders of Stonehenge left no written records detailing how they managed to transport these massive stones to the site and erect them with such precision. However, theories suggest that their techniques were more akin to woodwork than masonry. They employed mortise holes and protruding tenons, interlocking the stones using tongue and groove joints. When excavating the holes for the stones, they strategically placed timber poles at the back for bracing support. They then maneuvered the stones into position and hauled them upward with ropes. Finally, they packed rubble into the hole to secure the stones in place. It was a pre-industrial farming society that gave birth to this fascinating monument, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Imagine a world where the simplest tasks demanded monumental effort. Picture our ancestors, millennia ago, raising colossal stones using only the most rudimentary tools fashioned from stone and bone. The very concept of the wheel remained undiscovered. Here, in the Salisbury Plain of England, stands Stonehenge, a testament to human ingenuity and enduring mystery. This remarkable arrangement of stones is also known as a ringing rocks formation. The stones themselves possess peculiar acoustic qualities. When struck, they resonate with a deep, resonant clang. Could this unique sonic property be a reason why ancient peoples hauled these massive stones across vast distances? Some ancient cultures believed these rocks held the power to heal, to mend the body and spirit. Today, Stonehenge is a magnet, drawing over 1 million visitors annually. In its early days as a public attraction, an unrestricted access was granted. Visitors freely roamed among the stones, even scaling their weathered surfaces. But those days are long gone. Up until the 19th century, it was common practice for visitors to chip off fragments as souvenirs, etching their initials into the ancient rock. They camped within the circle, digging fire pits, unaware of the damage they inflicted, undermining the monument's very foundation. Over time, restrictions tightened. By 1997, the monument was finally cordoned off due to serious erosion. Now, a visit means viewing it from a distance unless one opts for the exclusive Stone Circle experience, arranged outside regular hours for a premium. Originally, Stonehenge featured 2 entrances, inviting passage into its sacred enclosure. A wide opening graced the northeast, while a smaller one resided on the southern flank. Today, numerous gaps mar its perimeter, the result of tracks carved by later generations who traversed the site. The ground within Stonehenge bears the scars of disturbance far beyond the casual fire pits. In the 17th century, a group seeking treasure excavated a large, deep pit within the stone circle, driven by dreams of riches. Even Charles Darwin, the father of evolution, conducted his own digging, studying the impact of earthworms on objects buried in the soil. He observed how a fallen stone had gradually sunk into the earth, attributing it to the ceaseless toil of these tiny creatures as they churned the soil. In 1963, an intriguing theory emerged. Stonehenge as an ancient computer, capable of predicting solar and lunar eclipses. Later, another proposition suggested it was a monument to departed ancestors, the permanence of its stones symbolizing the eternal afterlife. The average sarsen stone weighs a staggering 25 tons, with the largest reaching approximately 30 tons. To grasp their true scale, one can visit the outdoor gallery behind the visitor center and behold a replica sarsen stone, a true copy of a freestanding upright from one of the trilithons in the monument's inner horseshoe. 5 Neolithic houses stand near Stonehenge, reconstructions based on archaeological evidence. Each features stake-built walls and a chalk floor. Some even boast furniture. The discovery of substantial waste suggests a culture that embraced celebrations and feasting. Research indicates that people inhabited these houses for 50 to 100 years, around 4,500 years BCE, the period when the sarsen stones were transported to Stonehenge. During the construction of Stonehenge, generations underwent profound transformations, transitioning from the Stone Age to the early Bronze Age. They became less isolated, embracing travel and trade, fostering communication far beyond their immediate communities, even internationally. This interconnectedness could have facilitated the spread of knowledge about Stonehenge, sparking the mystery and fascination that endures to this day. Now let's shift our focus. Imagine stumbling upon a stroke of unexpected luck, like finding a forgotten $10 bill tucked away in an old jacket. But some individuals experience far more extraordinary discoveries, unearthing underground cities from centuries past, or inventing groundbreaking devices that propel them to millionaire status. Consider Velcro, born from a simple walk in the woods. Kellogg's cornflakes were inspired by a chipped tooth, while Play-Doh inadvertently saved a business empire from collapse. In 1998, electrical engineer John Williams encountered something peculiar, an object resembling an electrical plug protruding from the earth. He began to dig, discovering that it was embedded within a small rock. This find occurred in a remote rural area of North America, far removed from civilization, industrial complexes, airports, factories, and electronic plants. This embedded piece of electronics. Imagine discovering a mysterious stone, a dark enigma from the distant past. This particular piece of granite, dubbed the enigmalith, comes with a hefty price tag, $500,000. Some skeptics dismiss it as an elaborate hoax, not the relic of extraterrestrial visitors, as its discoverer Williams claims. But Williams is determined to prove its authenticity, suggesting it's a component of ancient technology, perhaps an electrical connector from a civilization far more advanced than our own. Could this unassuming rock hold evidence that humans, or beings before us, mastered electricity transmission long before the 19th century? Williams extended an invitation to scientists to examine his find, to unravel its secrets without destructive analysis. Yet, no one accepted the challenge. Undeterred, Williams consulted with an engineer and a geologist. Their findings? No traces of adhesives on the embedded component. No welding marks. This suggested the component was as ancient as the rock itself, estimated to be around 100,000 years old, according to geological dating. Now, let's shift gears to a different kind of inventor, Dr. John Kellogg. Picture him, a late 19th century advocate for biological living. His philosophy revolved around regular exercise, massage, copious amounts of water, and a strict avoidance of bad habits, caffeine, and meat. He oversaw a health institute in Michigan. One day, he concocted a blend of flour, oats, and cornmeal. His theory? Baking whole grains at high temperatures would render them more digestible and healthier. The mix underwent a double baking process, initially resulting in cookies. However, a patient's dental misfortune led to a change in approach. Kellogg then decided to fragment the cookies into smaller pieces. The precise origin of Kellogg's cornflakes remains shrouded in mystery. Multiple accounts exist, with Kellogg's wife, Ella, and his brother, Will, both asserting their involvement in the creation, along with other family members and sanitarium staff. Company legend points to a night in 1898. A wheat-based cereal dough was inadvertently left out, undergoing fermentation. When thinly rolled, this slightly moldy dough transformed into remarkably large, thin flakes that achieved a delightful crispness in the oven. Over the ensuing years, Will Kellogg refined the recipe, discovering that corn, rather than wheat, yielded even crunchier, more flavorful flakes. His brand, Kellogg's Cornflakes, has since blossomed into a colossal multi-billion-dollar enterprise. Our next inventor is Swiss engineer Georges de Mestral. Imagine him returning from a walk in the woods with his dog, an idea clinging to his trousers. He noticed that both his pants and his dog's fur were covered in the clinging seeds of the burdock plant. Intrigued, de Mestral examined the burrs under a microscope. He observed their tiny hook-like structures, perfectly designed to latch onto loops in fabric and fur. Inspired, he sought to replicate this natural mechanism, to engineer a robust fastener with wide-ranging applications. Years of experimentation with various materials led him to nylon. He also had to develop a specialized loom capable of weaving the fibers to the precise size, shape, and density required. After 14 years of relentless effort, de Mestral unveiled Velcro to the world, a name derived from the French words velvet and hook. De Mestral envisioned his invention as a replacement for zippers in clothing. However, the fashion industry deemed Velcro aesthetically unappealing, but NASA saw its potential. In the 1960s, Velcro became an essential component of astronaut spacesuits and helmets. Today, Velcro is ubiquitous, found in everything from footwear to toys to airline seat cushions. Now, consider homes before the mid-20th century, often heated by coal. This left a persistent layer of soot, particularly noticeable on wallpapers. Kuetel Products was the leading manufacturer of wallpaper cleaner. However, as the 1950s progressed, a shift towards gas, oil, and electricity for heating occurred, largely eliminating the soot problem. The owner of Kuetel Products faced a crisis, his business threatened by obsolescence. Meanwhile, his sister-in-law stumbled upon an article suggesting that wallpaper cleaner could be repurposed for creating holiday decorations. A nursery school teacher, she found traditional modeling clay challenging for her young students. She experimented with the wallpaper cleaner as a molding material, and it proved remarkably effective. She shared her discovery with her relatives, suggesting the name Play-Doh. The Kuetel Company, teetering on the brink of bankruptcy, seized this opportunity to reinvent itself. Soon, major retailers like Macy's and Marshall Field's expressed interest in the novel toy and began stocking it. Initially available only in white, Play-Doh soon expanded to include red, blue, and yellow. While some adjustments have been made to the original formula, the core ingredients remain largely unchanged from its days as a wallpaper cleaner. An urban legend persists. If you were to gather all the Play-Doh ever manufactured and feed it through their fun factory toy, imagine a colossal serpentine toy, a factory playset promising a snake long enough to encircle the entire planet, not once, but 300 times. But the real wonders often lie hidden beneath our feet, as one man in Turkey discovered during a home renovation. Swinging a sledgehammer, he breached a basement wall, revealing not just bricks and mortar, but the entrance to a forgotten world. Beyond the wall yawned a tunnel, beckoning him into the earth. This wasn't just a crawl space, it was the gateway to an ancient, subterranean city. The initial tunnel branched into a labyrinth of passages, halls, and chambers, an intricate complex spanning a staggering 18 stories. Yet, it was utterly deserted, abandoned to the silence of ages. This was Derinkuyu, a city carved from the rock thousands of years ago, a refugee capable of sheltering up to 20,000 souls. The architects of Derinkuyu were master craftsmen. Carving tunnels from the soft rock was relatively straightforward, but the threat of collapse was ever present. Remarkably, none of Derinkuyu's levels have ever succumbed to cave-ins, a testament to the builder's skill. The city boasted a sophisticated ventilation system, a network of over 15,000 shafts, ensuring breathable air throughout its depths. The upper levels, blessed with the freshest air, served as living quarters and sleeping areas. Descending further, one would find storage facilities, and even a dungeon for holding prisoners. Nestled between these extremes were spaces for domestic animals, a school for the young, a convent for religious devotees, and even small, intimate churches. A complete underground ecosystem. Now, let's shift continents and jump forward in time. Picture John Martin, a forestry professor, venturing into a Wisconsin forest under the cloak of night. Armed with a UV flashlight, he scanned the forest canopy, searching for the telltale glow of lichens, fungi, plants, and frogs that fluoresce under ultraviolet light. Suddenly, the chirping of a flying squirrel near a bird feeder caught his attention. He aimed his flashlight, and the squirrel erupted in a vibrant pink glow. Intrigued, the professor shared his discovery with colleagues, sparking a full-blown investigation. They examined flying squirrel pelts in museum collections, seeking to determine if this pink fluorescence was a common trait. Astonishingly, nearly all the flying squirrel specimens exhibited the same vibrant pink under UV light. Non-flying squirrels, however, remained stubbornly unilluminated. Other fluorescent animals, like puffins and chameleons, typically glow blue under UV light, making the squirrel's pink hue even more peculiar. The only other mammals known to possess fluorescent fur are around 20 species of opossum. These creatures inhabit diverse ecosystems and follow varied diets. The shared characteristic linking them to flying squirrels is their nocturnal activity, in stark contrast to the sun-loving habits of regular squirrels. Ultraviolet light, though faint, is present even in low-light conditions, and nocturnal animals may rely on UV vision. The pink glow could, therefore, play a role in nighttime perception and navigation, particularly in snowy or icy environments. Or perhaps it serves as a form of visual communication, a way for male flying squirrels to attract potential mates. It might even be a form of mimicry, the exact purpose still shrouded in mystery. Our journey now takes us to the sands of Egypt, to a discovery of a far more macabre nature. Imagine the scene: 16 human hands, carefully interred within 4 unsettling pits. Initially, they appeared strangely distorted, abnormally large, yet undeniably human. The unsettling detail? All were right hands. No left hands were to be found. This gruesome find points to a chilling practice, a dark ritual from the distant past. Ancient Egyptian art and folklore speak of a ceremony where victorious warriors presented the severed right hands of their enemies as proof of their triumph, receiving gold as reward. The Egyptians held a profound belief in the afterlife. By severing a person's hand, they believed they were severing their power for eternity, ensuring their permanent defeat. This prospect held immense appeal for the victors. In this particular case, the conflict likely pitted Egyptians against the Hyksos, a people who once inhabited the land of Canaan. Egypt, as always, remains a treasure trove of historical wonders. Picture this: a papyrus scroll, unearthed from the sands. Unfurled, it would stretch just a bit taller than the world's smallest skyscraper, that quirky landmark in Wichita Falls, Texas. Before the advent of digital note-taking, humans recorded their thoughts and beliefs on this material, crafted from the pith of the papyrus plant, Cyperus papyrus. Around 2,000 years ago, ancient Egyptians created a text resembling a book, detailing their funerary traditions and their visions of the afterlife. This Book of the Dead is considered one of the most important texts surviving from ancient Egypt, and remarkably, it remains available in bookstores to this day. This ancient manuscript was discovered within a chamber just south of the Pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara. Djoser's pyramid, often overlooked, is actually the oldest pyramid in Egypt, predating the more famous structures at Giza. Recently, the Saqqara site buzzed with excitement as archaeologists unearthed what they believe to be one of Egypt's oldest complete mummies. This remarkably well-preserved mummy is believed to be that of a wealthy and influential man. He was found within a deep shaft, encased in layers of gold leaf. Numerous symbols attest to his high status, including the band adorning his head, the bracelet gracing his chest, and the fact that he was embalmed wearing a tunic, a privilege reserved for Egypt's elite. The most thrilling aspect of the discovery was finding the burial chamber sealed with mortar, untouched since the ancient Egyptians laid the mummy to rest 4,300 years ago.